New Year! Happy 2026. Welcome to our first cafecito of the year. I am so thrilled and excited. We were off for a couple of weeks and it feels forever because we do these like nonstop through the year. So having a 2 week break, it really felt like something was missing. But we're excited, and I'm so excited to start the year with our good friend Luisa Mendoza, who has been a United Latinas member for now many years. And actually we did a cafecito a while back when we started on gratitude, and to this day I love that cafecito because you shared so many pearls of wisdom. And today it's like 2.0 on delivering a miracle, which I feel like we all need as we start into 2026. So thank you, Luisa, so much for being here with us today and getting us up on the right side of the bed for this year, which it, I have a lot of hope for this year, a lot of hope. So I'm excited that we're kicking it off with you. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Oh, Eliana, well, Happy New Year. It's so great to be back and just so thrilled for this year ahead. I love January. I feel like January is the start to a new year. It's the start to a new journey, to a new chapter in our books. And it's almost like clean slate, right? So for me, it's not just because it's my birthday coming up in January, but it's truly, for me, it's one of the best times of the year because it's an opportunity to say, evaluate, okay, what did I love about 25? What did I love about last year? But where can I take this year to the next level? So, yes.
Yes, and you're right, right? We need, no matter what happened in the past, it is what it is. We can't change it, but it's how we set our intentions and our mindset as we head that can make a significant difference. So I'm so excited for a conversation, and let's start with delivering a miracle. Like, please, we need it. What does that mean? How was it conceived? Like, tell us more.
Oh my God, yes. So, delivering a miracle, it's one of the things that actually has been a part of my life before I was even born, but the actual name was defined last year. And what do I mean by all of that? So, my mom was told for over 10 years that she would never be able to be a mom. She was told that it was scientifically impossible for her to become pregnant just because of the doctor literally was like writing her a diagram and showing her her fallopian tubes and it was like, it's not happening. But my mom never lost hope. You know, my mom always had hope and she had faith that she just knew inside of her she was called to be a mother. And so thank God she did. Thank God she never gave up that hope because 10 years later, that same doctor that told her it was scientifically impossible to become pregnant was the one that delivered me. And so my whole life, I've gone through all of these major challenges and I always feel like the answer comes out at the end and the solution comes out at the end. But I always had this notion that it was conceived a fighter and I was fighting through life. And that's a lot to take on your shoulders when you feel that it's you against the universe. And last year, I had an opportunity to work with an amazing mentor, Anthony Trucks, and he heard my story. And I was telling him the message that I was, that I want to use to inspire others in that moment when you really feel like, man, I've hit rock bottom or life is just not going what I planned it to be. And I shared with him my whole story. And he said, no, Luisa, your story is delivering a miracle. And when he said that, I stopped and I felt, talk about mind shift. I felt in that moment that life was happening to me. Life was happening for me and not to me, right? Tony Robbins always says that. Like life is happening for you, it's not happening to you. And like take it, embrace it, like really appreciate even the challenges. And so that's where it all began, was how do we use our mind shift, because everything is mind shift, right? Like it's all how we view things, and how do we take obstacles? Because guys, I hate to break it to you if you don't know right now, but I'm sure we all do. Life is going to throw things at us that we may not love. But how do we turn the mind shift? And so that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about. How have I developed this formula of turning obstacles into opportunities through mindset, faith, and hope?
I love that, and I always love hearing your story, because I think it's the story that resonates with many of us in a way, in terms of, to your point, that uh, fight. It feels like we're always going uphill. We're the only ones. We're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, and you're right. Like when you shift the mindset, when you release it, something releases and something just opens, and the gates flood, right? But there's one thing that I love about what you just said, and I even wrote it down. Sometimes we just need to hear others play our voice back to us, things that we already know but don't really know. But when we hear it from others, it surfaces and it hits. Immediately it hits. And I think that's why hearing other people's stories becomes so critically important, because that's when you can see yourself reflected in somebody else's journey and somebody else's pain, but in somebody else's success. And then it hits, and then you're like, oh, like, yes, that's me. So then tell us, don't leave us like with a cliffhanger. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think with that said, right? So you hear the story of me and coming into this world. So already I was, delivered as a miracle. But then it's like, okay, but what else has happened? Because it's easy to say, oh, miracles happen when, life is going well and beautiful things just show up. But how do you find the miracle in the hard times? And I honestly think that hardships is where miracles lie, because you cannot see a miracle unless it's much harder to see a miracle unless there's a challenge. And once you hit a challenge in your life, then when you're able to, come out on the other side, you're like, oh, wow, that was a miracle. And so many of you who I may already know, but for those of you that don't, um, I actually started my company January 2020. So I was working prior to that, I was working for the official tourism office for New York, for New York City, NYC and Company, today known as New York City Tourism and Conventions. And then from there, I got drafted to go work for the NBA's Brooklyn Nets. And I had the opportunity to become their first senior director for travel trade. And it was amazing. And I realized there was such a gap between sports and tourism. So January, I actually start my company, and I think that's going to be like the best year of my life. Life is going to be amazing. And then we all know what happened March 2020, the pandemic. There was no sports, there was no tourism, and there was no entertainment. I'm a single mom. I take care of my mom, my dad, and my daughter. And I said, I don't know how this is all going to play out. In the moment, I actually got COVID. I got COVID really bad. I remember one night just waking up and not even being able to breathe and thinking, oh man, am I going to have to go to the hospital? Like that's how bad I was. And once I started to recover from like being physically sick from COVID, I made a promise to God and I said, if I get through this, I promise you, I am going to look at life through a different lens. And to be here, I can't believe it's going to be, this is our 6-year anniversary. To be here 6 years later and to have been able to get past COVID and all of that, to create a global brand when the globe shut down was truly a miracle. I really feel that was because, right, there's personal miracles, there's career miracles, But for me, that miracle of being able to bring to life, right? And it's funny, I haven't even thought about that until I'm saying it right now. To bring to life a company in the middle of the pandemic. So it's delivering a miracle. And I truly, I guess that what I want the audience to take away from this is whenever you're going through a hardship in life, you have two options. You either go down that rabbit hole, allow, the fear, the anxiety, the stress to get the best of you, or you flip the narrative and you start claiming it and you start declaring that in this situation will turn around, that things are going to get better some way, shape, or other. Like things will get better and you have to start declaring it. And that's literally what I did in that case, right? And it goes back to my mom. My mom never took that those words from the doctor when he said to her that she wasn't going to be a mother. She refused to believe it. And I refused to believe that I had come this far for it to just all, crumble under my feet. And so how do you do that, right? How do we get past the, because the anxiety will come when we're presented with a problem. So I'll share with you something that happened last year, which is a quick way to show you in action with something not so big and heavy like a company or my life, a wallet. And you're like, what? So I'm going into Manhattan. I'm on the Long Island Railroad. I'm on the train. And I have my little bag. It's like a little caboodle bag and open pocket. And I see my red wallet in top of it. And I said, I thought about it when I saw, I'm like, it's like so visible. I should probably put it in deeper. The voice, that little whisper, that little voice you hear in your mind. But I was so busy. I was with the phone and, answering an email. And I get out of the train and I look in my purse and my wallet's not there. So I don't know if they stole it. I don't know if I left it on the train. And I get to the destination that I was going to, and I'm like, I'm calling, canceling all my credit cards, doing everything that happens. And I said, no, I'm not going to allow this to get the best of me. And when I got home that night, I went to global entry into my license to try to renew that. But for some reason, just those two sites wouldn't allow me to renew it. And I said, that's weird. So I said, oh, maybe this is a miracle in the making. And I said to myself that night, I said, wait, hold up. Like before I even do anything else, if I don't ever find that wallet again, I'm okay with it. Because I now know what it is to listen to that inner voice. That was the big lesson for me. Because how many times do we hear the little voice that say, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't go down that street? And I said, and I didn't listen to it. But for me at that moment, I said, I now know what that voice sounds like. Call it God, call it intuition, call it whatever your faith belief is. For me, it was God. And I said, God, I now know what your voice sounds like. And I will make sure that I listen to that. Because today it was a wallet. Tomorrow it could be, don't go down that street. Because God knows what can happen, right? So I said, all right. I went to bed and I was at peace. Because I was like, you know what? I do believe this is a miracle in the making, because how weird that I can't renew my license or my global entry. And I laid it and I went to bed. The next day, I get a call. Now, my full name is Luisa Fernanda Mendoza. But when I moved to the US, I said, let's just keep it Luisa Mendoza. I don't want to have the long soap opera name. And I said, Luisa Mendoza. Now, why is the name Luisa Fernanda important? Because the next day I got a call from a guy. Get ready, guys. His name, Luis Fernando. Hi, is this Luis? I'm like, yeah. He goes, this is Luis Fernando. I was calling to let you know that I was on the train yesterday and I found your wallet. I work in a restaurant in Queens. If you can stop by my restaurant, I'd be glad to give you your wallet back. And I was just like, wow, there's the miracle. So, right, I do think that the energy we put out into the universe, I do think that what we manifest with our energy the outcomes of our lives. And that's literally what happened. And so, I'm just every day, it's like when things happen, I say, okay, mind shift, right? And sometimes it's easier said than done. Hey, I'm not saying I'm perfect at this yet, but I now remember mind shift. Declare what you want the outcome to be and and allow that to be the energy you put into the universe versus allowing stress to get the best of us.
I love that, and I love the story because I think it happens to us every day, right? It's not just in those unique moments. We are so busy with the day to day. We are so busy with you said it yourself, right? The answering the email, the getting on the phone call, the being aware of I need to do this or do that, that we don't stop to listen to that inner voice, to that, whatever it is that happens to us, that we know is that intuition that we know is heading us somewhere, but we don't. We just need to continue. So I love that, um, and I love the fact that you touch on the power of choice. In the end, whatever it is that we're facing, we always have the choice to pause, to decide that this is the end of the world, that this is the worst day ever, or that whatever happened happened, and now we, silver lining, we're going to move from there. So I think this is especially important as we kick off this year, to recognize and to acknowledge that we have a choice on how we are going to set up this year, and how are we going to show up, because that's what's in our control. How are we going to show up for ourselves and for those around us this year? I think that's critically important. So thank you for sharing your story and the coincidence of the name as well. Right?
I
Like,
mean, literally, I was like so taken back. But then again, I knew that it was the sign, right? It was the sign of, hey, this is a miracle in the making, and and I do believe, and I guess that, as I know we're almost wrapping up. Have you guys noticed that until you don't see or hear of a brand for the first time, it's not until that moment that you then start seeing everywhere. You're like, oh, like for example, if you had never seen, um, let's just call the new version of the Bronco that came out. And I say the Bronco because my partner, he just brought a Bronco. I promise you, I don't remember seeing that car on the streets. And now that he got one, I'm seeing them everywhere. I'm like, did everybody just go get one? No, they've always been there. It's just now I'm aware to it, and I'm calling it, and I'm seeing it more. So I make that analogy because what we think about, what we focus on, is what we see the most of in our lives. So if we truly want to make 2026 the year where we go into a year of wanting a better life, whatever you want more of, that's what you have to start declaring and saying for your life. But you can't expect to have a peaceful life if all you're listening to is the news all day long, right? Like, you have to understand that there's so much going on in a realm that that our eyes can't see, with energy around us. And the more that we are just in tuned with the outcomes of the lives we want to be living, right? It's like the goal is to get fit and make 2026 the year that you get healthy and that you really focus on your health. Well, where are you putting yourself? What environments are you putting yourself in? Are you hitting the gym? Are you going for your daily walks? Or are you sitting at home watching Netflix? These are all, and some miracles just happen to us, but some miracles we create on our own. And I say miracles because at the end of the day, it's what's that beautiful outcome that we're really leaning into, that we want for ourselves. And so I really hope that people will look at this from a different angle. I know for me, it was a huge aha moment of really learning how to turn um, obstacles into into those stepping stones, and stop limiting ourselves and saying, no, I'm going to look at every obstacle with a new lens, and I'm going to look at every obstacle and say, okay, here's a challenge. What's the opportunity? What's the miracle in the making? And so when I lost my wallet, I was like, okay, what's the miracle in the making? Will I find it back? Will it bless someone that really needed it? I mean, who knows, right? So I encourage everyone that as life will throw us lemons, let's make lemonade. Let's put some salt around the rim and make a margarita out of it.
I love it, and I just jotted it down. Like, what is the miracle in the making? The words we use are powerful, and to your point, to set the intention of how we're gonna view things, right? Like the example of the Bronco. Like until you become aware, then that's the lens that you're using to see the world. So we have that power of choice of saying either this is a bad day and therefore everything seems to be bad, or what is the using a lens of what's the miracle in the making, and being open to surprise, being open to opportunity, being open to just welcoming, positive, good things, and being grateful, which I think is full circle with how we started our cafecito a couple of years ago on the power of gratitude, right? And how that can really turn around not only your life in the day, but the impact that you have on others that are surround yourself as well. So I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing and for opening us up to the miracle of 2026, which if we go through, somebody was telling me about astrology yesterday. I haven't seen it in a long time, but they were saying, this year is all about opening and new cycles. So let's welcome the miracle of new cycles. Let's
Yes,
welcome the miracle of a new year, new opportunities.
yes.
Um, and I cannot be more grateful than to do that, surrounded by you and by every other member in this beautiful, beautiful community. So thank you, Luisa, so much for being here with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I'll leave you with this final thought. So just to show the how setting your word for intention. I would be ripping you guys off if I don't share this with you. But instead of making a long list of goals for the year, which by February 1st, many of them you're like, oh man, I failed. Find a word that you want
Yeah.
it to be your word for the year, or find an intention for the year. For me, last year was gratitude. That was everything I was going to do. I was going to do it in gratitude, find gratitude. This year, my word is led. I want to truly be led by God in everything that I do. And one of the things He's calling me back is to find my inner child and find those childlike moments. And every morning I go for a walk. And this week, as I was walking on Monday, Tuesday, I'm walking and I find a ball. A ball. There was no one around me, and there was this ball in the middle of the path, of my walk path. And I became that little girl, and I just started running with the ball. And I am like, there I was 20 minutes later. So when you put it, the universe will deliver. Today, I literally saw the cutest little bird inside of my car in the tire. He was just chilling in the tire, and I was like, it's probably these things have always been happening, but I was never opening them to see life through a child's eye. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, we grow up and we forget to see our inner child. And what is our inner child? I would have seen that and acknowledged that as a little girl, but today I wouldn't have as an adult woman. But I literally saw the bird on top of the tire, and I thought that was the coolest thing, because I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a bird in top of, like, it was this little bird. But yeah, like a ball, and I kept the ball, and I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna play ball now. So set your word, set your intention, and see how the universe delivers all the miracles for you this year.
I love that. And so put on the chat below, either whether you're looking at us through LinkedIn, whether you're seeing us through YouTube or through Facebook, put in the chat below, like, what's your word of the year? Let's anchor us. I can tell you that I actually have two words because it depends on the hat that I'm wearing. One of them is momentum, and I'm actually borrowing that from somebody else that mentioned the word, and I'm like, I like your word. I'm gonna take it on as well. So momentum is one. And definitely the intention, the collaboration, partnership is the other, because doing things together is something that I look forward at doing this year. So collaboration is going to be that other thing. So thank you so much, Luisa, for being here, for kicking us off this amazing year. And let's keep us posted on the miracle in the making that's going to be this year for you.
Thank you so much. Yes, stay tuned because the website will be published in a few weeks. So you'll be able to go on deliveringamiracle.com and you'll be able to download a beautiful book on how to create more intention around miracles in your life. So thank you, Eliana, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year. And stay tuned. We have green room sessions kicking off on January 21st, the Wednesday, January 21st. It's going to go through 6 weeks. It's a closed, intimate group, so there's still seats available. So make sure that you sign up. That's at United Latina/green room, unitedlatinas.com/green room. So make sure you check that one out. We have an amazing roster of speakers. It's going to be intimate conversations where you can ask them all of these things and more to set an amazing 2026. And we're going to start putting on our calendar as well different local events with our different chapters. So stay tuned for those. And then finally, we already have two events this year. We have one about taxes, because so many things have changed that you need to be on top of what you need to look for as you prepare for tax season. So we have an expert coming in to lay it down to us in words that we can all understand. So stay tuned for that one at the end of January, in a couple of weeks. And then we have another one about building your wealth in investing in February. So stay tuned. We have a lot of things, exciting offerings and exciting programming for everybody in 2026. So thank you so much, Lisa, again. Thank you, everybody, and see you next week in another Cafecito. Have an amazing rest of your week.